If you sell your time for money, a lawyer, an accountant, a consultant, an agency owner, you need to hear this. YC, the firm behind Stripe, Airbnb, and Coinbase, just published a document that is either your retirement plan or your eviction notice. Their bet is this: the biggest companies of the next decade will not be software companies, they will be services companies, law firms, tax practices, insurance carriers, rebuilt from scratch with AI doing most of the work. These are markets worth trillions of dollars. And 2 years ago, this opportunity did not even exist. Now it does. So the only question that actually matters is, are you the one who builds the new version of your industry or the one it replaces? In the next 10 minutes, I will walk you through the entire playbook: the markets, the traps, and the money, so you end up on the right side of it. Start with the single idea that makes this whole thing work. The old software model was simple: you build a tool, you sell it, and your customer logs in and does the work themselves. A co-pilot. The AI native services model flips that completely. You do not sell the tool, you sell the finished outcome. The customer hands you the job, your AI does most of it. Your humans handle the hard parts, and the customer just receives the result. They do not learn anything, they do not change anything. They get their tax return filed, their contract reviewed, their claim processed. That is the difference between selling a drill and selling the whole. And it unlocks markets that pure software could never touch: tax, audit, insurance, mortgages, parts of healthcare and logistics. The work people already pay humans to do, now done by a machine that you run. Here is why this is so dangerous and so exciting. In all of these industries, the budget already exists. Companies are already paying an outside vendor to do this work. So you are not inventing a new habit, and you are not asking anyone to try something scary. You are simply showing up where the money already lives and doing the same job faster, cheaper, and more consistently. That is the whole game. You are displacing a vendor, not changing a customer. Which means in every one of these markets, there are really only two roles left: the incumbent, who keeps billing by the hour and slowly gets undercut, and the AI native founder, who quietly eats their lunch. There is no third option where nothing changes. So let me show you how to tell which markets are about to flip, starting with whether yours is one of them. IC lays out 4 traits that make a market perfect for this. Treat them as a checklist for your own industry. Trait 1: low trust. And that sounds bad, but it is actually good. It means the work is already outsourced, and the customer only cares about the final result, not how it got made. Trait 2: low judgment at the task level. If every tiny step needs a human making a real decision, you cannot scale. You want most of the steps automatable, with humans holding the wheel in just a few critical places. Trait 3: a high intelligence threshold. This sounds like the opposite of trait 2, but it is not. The overall work has to be genuinely hard. Hard enough that a customer will gladly pay a machine plus a few experts to get it right. Trait 4, and this is the surprise: regulation is your friend. Regulated industries scare off lazy competitors and raise the bar, which builds your moat. The clearest example is Panacea, a YC company that does FDA regulatory work for biotech. They hire veteran FDA consultants, pair them with an AI platform, and deliver approvals faster and cheaper than anyone. If your industry checks these 4 boxes, keep listening, because the rest of this is your blueprint. Before you fall in love with an idea, run it through 2 brutal honesty tests. The first, YC calls the Sam Altman test. Ask yourself, As the AI models get smarter every few months, does my business get stronger? Or does the model just do my job for free and wipe me out? You want to be in the first camp, where better models make your service better, not obsolete. The second test is even more personal. Are you using humans because the work genuinely needs human judgment? Or are you secretly using them to hide the fact that your product is not good enough yet? Be honest, because that gap will eventually crush your margins. And one warning: stay away from anything that needs heavy equipment and on site physical labor. The beautiful software math does not work when you have to own and operate physical things. Leave that to the robotics founders. Your leverage comes from bits, not trucks. So, who actually wins these companies? YC says the best founders share three traits, and you can audit yourself against them right now. 1. Domain fluency. You are selling to skeptical, sometimes regulated buyers, so you have to bleed credibility. First hand experience is best, but honestly, learned expertise can work too. You just have to truly know the field. 2. Model fluency. You need to know exactly what today's frontier models can and cannot do and design your product to ride the curve as they improve. There is no substitute for real technical depth here. 3. Operational rigor. Words like throughput, variance, cycle time, and standard operating procedures. Not glamorous, but you are running an operation, and you have to respect that. Look at General Legal, the AI native law firm YC backed. The founders came out of case text and top firms like Cooley and Fenwick, and they obsess over throughput, even using shift work to cut their turnaround times. The product is the operation. Now, building the product, and this is where it gets counterintuitive. In normal software, the product is the thing the customer touches. Here, the human is the interface, and the product is the invisible engine that lets that human do the work of 10 people. So everything changes. First, you think like an operator. You hunt for the bottleneck and you build for the bottleneck. Throughput and cycle time become your real metrics. Track them as obsessively as a software company tracks daily active users. Second, and write this one down, variance is the silent killer. Variance just means inconsistent output. One job is perfect, the next one is sloppy. Customers will forgive you for being a little slow or a little pricey. They will fire you instantly for being unpredictable because inconsistency destroys trust. And third, your humans have to scale non linearly. If you need one new employee for every new customer, you do not have a tech company. You have a staffing agency wearing a hoodie. Here is the trap that kills more of these companies than anything else. YC calls it the early demand trap, and it feels like success while it is quietly destroying you. When you launch, it is shockingly easy to sign up pilot customers. Everyone wants the cheaper, faster AI version. So you say yes to all of them, and then you drown. You are so busy manually serving 20 pilots with brute force human labor that you never get the time to build the product that was supposed to automate it. You are now a very stressed agency that will never scale. The counterintuitive fix is this: cap your first pilots to a tiny handful. Resist the temptation. Use those few customers to learn exactly where AI gives you real leverage, and then build fast. The pilot is not revenue, the pilot is the product. Pricing is harder here than in software for one reason: you are not competing with other apps, you are competing directly against the cost of human labor. So sell the outcome, never the seat, and never the tokens. You have two clean options: per unit pricing, so a price per tax return, per claim, per loan. It is simple and easy to explain. Or outcome based pricing, where you only get paid when the result actually lands. Panacea does exactly this. They charge for the completed study, not for the hours. It aligns you perfectly with the customer. And then there are two pricing models to avoid at all costs. Cost plus, where you just mark up your own costs, permanently caps your upside, so never do it. And straight up undercutting on price makes your work look cheap and low quality. Do not race to the bottom. Price on the value you deliver. Now the part that makes founders sweat, the P&L, the profit and loss statement. This is where these companies live or die. So let me make it dead simple. You have three numbers that matter: revenue, which is the money coming in; cost of goods sold, which is what it actually costs you to deliver the work; and the gap between them, your gross margin. In these businesses, your cost of delivery has three pieces: the AI model costs, the hosting costs, and the humans in the loop. Watch all three like a hawk from day one. Here is the entire bet in one sentence. The more of the work your product automates, the lower your cost of delivery drops and the fatter your margin grows. YC calls this AI operating leverage. Traditional services firms top out around 30% margins. Pure software earns more, but on smaller markets. The dream here is software style margins, 50% and up, on a market 2 to 3 times bigger than software. You do not need to be there on day one, but the trajectory has to be believable. One last temptation to kill, especially if you have an operator background. The shortcut sounds genius. Just buy an existing services business, one that already has revenue and customers, and bolt your AI on top. Skip the slow grind. It almost never works. And here is why. You cannot buy product market fit. A legacy firm comes with legacy everything: old expectations, old staff, old ways of measuring performance. Pouring AI on top of all that does not magically change the culture or the cost structure. There is exactly one good reason to buy. When you need a regulatory license fast, like in insurance, and acquiring one is the only way in. Outside of that, building from scratch beats buying almost every single time. So let us bring it home. AI is not coming for services someday. YC is funding the founders doing it right now, this batch. The playbook is clear. Find a market where the work is outsourced, hard, and regulated. Sell the outcome, not the software. Treat the operation as the product and guard against variance like your life depends on it. Cap your early pilots, price on value, obsess over your margins, and build instead of buy. Do all of that, and AI operating leverage can hand you software margins on a market many times the size. So go back to the very first question. In your industry, are you the vendor who gets displaced, or the founder who shows up where the budget already lives? I took this entire YC playbook, the four market tests, the pricing traps, and the P&L math, and turned it into one free one-page guide you can act on today. Just comment the word outcome and I will send it straight to you. The deep dives live here on YouTube, so subscribe. And the bite-sized drops are on Instagram at Hyper Automation Labs. Now go build the AI native version of your industry before someone else does.